went to AA meetings for a year and a half, 3 nights a week. And when I sat in these meetings, I'd be surrounded by individuals who had been sober for maybe 5 minutes. Some of them been sober for 15 years. Some of them went to meetings once a week. Some of them went to meetings every night of the week. Kind of varied. But one thing that they had in common is that they didn't want to go back to their old life, because they knew that once they reached a point of sobriety, that any little thing could trigger them back into a life full of addiction. What if the church would live that way for Jesus? That was my thought. What if the church, once they reached a point to where they submitted and gave their life to Christ, to where they would live every minute afraid of falling back into the same sinful lifestyle that they lived prior to coming to the grace of Jesus? And it really stuck with me how individuals who have been in a place kind of in the bottom of the barrel, what some people would say is the worst of the worst, right? These individuals in these meetings, they would sit back and they would confess every single night, I'm an addict, I'm an addict, I'm an addict. And it really humbled me, really to the point to where I found more honesty and sincerity in an AA meeting than I found in most churches. And that's not a stab at the church. That's a stab at me. Because I realized that if I am going to profess Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, that I probably didn't take it as seriously as I took sobriety. And that was a hard pill for me to swallow. I spent a lot of time in church, spent a lot of time praising His name, praying for people, preaching His word. I did. And I wanted it. I wanted to be a fruitful servant for Jesus. But let me tell you, I reached a point in those AA meetings that I never reached for Christ. How many of us have ever been able to cry over our sin? How many people would go and be surrounded by other sinners, other addicts? How many of us would go 7 nights a week just to be in a place to where we knew we were among brethren with a similar cause? How many of us have ever done that? How many of us have been so devoted to Jesus that we would do anything to avoid going back? But then also look around, and not at other people, look at yourself. Look at the things that when we first got saved, that we said we'd never do that. We'd never go that far. We'd never do those types of things. Jesus, kill me if I ever do those types of things. But we did them anyway. I've kind of learned that as we spend time in the church, you may not be guilty of it, but I am. The longer we spend time in the church, we seem to get complacent. We tend to get comfortable with who we are now, I guess you could say. And then whenever someone in the church makes a mistake, boy, the gossip train starts. People start talking about their mistakes. They start talking about their shortcomings. They treat them different. You can't be on the worship team anymore. You can't lead the small group anymore. You can't do anything anymore because you fell short. Nah, that's kind of like getting a speeding ticket. Everybody speeds, you're just the one who got caught. And that's sad, man. It's sad how we as a church, for the whole, and I'll speak about myself because I'm guilty too. It's sad how we as a body have reached a point to where we would talk ugly about someone who has fallen rather than build them up. When I went to those AA meetings, I would sit down, and even if I had spent the whole day dreaming about drinking whiskey, I knew that I could tell them. I knew that I could tell the people in that room that I was struggling. And I wouldn't feel bad about it. Why? Because they'd be the first ones to tell you, hey, I did too. But can you do that on Sunday mornings? Imagine going into a church service on Sunday morning and sitting down and just spilling your guts. Hey, I lusted this week. Hey, I lied this week. Hey, I stole this week. Hey, I really didn't care about Jesus this week. Matter of fact, all I cared about was making money. I didn't really care about Jesus this week. Georgia played on Saturday, so, that's what my focus was. That's where all my attention went. Boy, imagine how different the church would be if we actually treated our sin like the addiction and the disease that it was. Imagine if people would feel comfortable sitting down with you and sharing their shortcomings. Revelations 12:11 says that they overcame him, referring to the Antichrist, by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony, and they loved their lives, not even unto death. And even though that's talking about a future generation of people, maybe not so future, they're going to endure a tribulation, and they're going to endure the son of perdition. What if we would share our testimonies with people so much to where they felt comfortable opening up to us? Boy, would that not make a difference. I think most people sit in on Sunday morning services and they're uncomfortable because everyone around them doesn't seem like they have the same problems. Are you an individual who someone can open up to? Why are you not, or why are you? These are questions we have to ask ourselves. If people are more comfortable outside of the church, that's not good. It's really not, people.